Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Nursing Uncharted. Going with my theme of this year, which has been focused on mental and physical health of nurses, this is kind of the last check of the box of the well rounded mentally and physically maintained nurse. So I have been so excited for this episode because this is the last part and I feel like one of the most difficult things as nurses to find the time for, which is staying physically active and physically healthy. So I am so excited to welcome my next guest, Miss Haley. So
Hello.
hello. So introduce yourself a little bit about like what you do and then I always like to start it off with like a big passion of yours.
Yeah, passion is a big part of why I do what I do. So, my name's Haley. I've been a personal trainer for almost 2 years now, which, in the grand scheme of things, sounds like a very short amount of time. But, like, my own fitness journey, if you want to call it that, really started post college for me. So, about a decade ago now. I did the college lifestyle thing, kinda went post college and was like, "Okay, like, something's just, like, not really right here," and I could
Yeah.
tell it was, like, a very big physical thing for me. So I joined a gym, and truly the rest has kind of been history. I started very much as like a group class type of person because I walked into the gym as most people do when they first start, just like, what am I doing here? Like, we had a
Yeah.
free rec center at college that I literally could not get myself into because
Same.
like all the frat bros are in there and I'm
Yes.
like, they're all like lifting heavy. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So yeah, started in like group classes. I did Gold's Gym for a while, and then like in my hometown, we have Club Fitness, which I think is pretty, specific to the Midwest, but kind of like a Planet Fitness style. And started going to the gym. Kind of like learned a lot from the group classes, and went to social media where we can find a lot of information at our fingertips, and just started learning a little bit of, whatever was out there and just what can I kinda do on my own so I don't have to be set to, like, these exact times to go to the gym. So,
Right.
really over the course of 10 years, I worked in corporate America for a long time in, like, sales and recruiting. So I was a desk-bound girl. I sat at the desk all day. And it kills your body. There's 2 kinds of jobs, I guess there's a lot of different types, but, ones where you're
Yeah.
sitting and you're, what some people will call the desk-bound warriors, they're just sitting there all day, or you're kinda up and moving all day long, and some people can have a nice mix of that. But as somebody who sat at the desk for hours all day, like, my body was just, like, craving to go do something after, so that's why I typically would go to the gym at night. Some days could be longer, shorter, you never know if you're gonna be able to make that 5:30 class if your workday ends at
Right.
5, so that became kind of a little bit of a challenge. So, I was like, "No one's gonna do this for me. I guess I gotta figure this out on my own," and so I did, and ended up leaving corporate America about 2 years ago, and was like, "Okay, now's the time to get certified as a personal trainer," and it's been life-changing for many reasons. Really,
Yeah.
joining the gym was that first catapult to really get me to where I am now, which I kinda believe I'm from the Midwest, so I grew up in St. Louis area, Missouri, but I'm a big believer that had I never joined a gym, I would not be living in San Diego right now, and
Yeah.
that's a story for another time. But you take a chance on yourself and your body, and you learn, like, this confidence and all these things that just if you can do things hard physically, you can do them mentally because your mental state has to get you there physically. So being
Exactly.
able to, like, have those hand in hand. So all that to say why I'm passionate about what I do, like, that's exactly why I think we're having this conversation
Yeah.
because that to me and, like, my household growing up, that was a very consistent theme of my dad at the dinner table at, 6, 7, 8 years old is like, "What are you passionate about?" I'm like, "I'm not really sure what we're talking about here, but this mac and cheese is pretty good." Like, I don't know. So it was very just like,
Yeah.
"What do you want out of your life?" Like,
Yeah.
so he kind of really pushed, like, that passion project,
I
and
love that.
yeah, so now for me, leaving corporate America, which I can say I was not passionate about, like, I did it, I was good at it, but I didn't really enjoy it that much to where, like, the gym was always my escape, and anyone that would wanna come with me or go on a walk instead of just, like, doing a happy hour, I'd be like, "How about, like, we gym and go for a walk or something, and, like, let's mix it up a little bit."
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's why I do what I do now is just I work with primarily women, so this goes
Oh,
for
nice.
everyone, but, like, I'll kind of you'll might hear me steer a little bit more
Yeah.
towards women, just that's my experience, so that's what I can relate to. that is exactly why I do what I do, is moving your body. I know how helpful it can be mentally, emotionally, physically, like, it just translates to everything in life. So,
Yeah.
that is that's why I do what I do every day.
I love it. I love that, and how you said your physical health has such a big impact on every aspect of your life, and that's
Mhm.
as much as we have been trying to record this episode for months.
Right. Literally, like,
Um,
2.5 months.
I know, it's actually I'm kinda glad this is the last component of it, and as much as I don't wanna say this, we are reaching the end of the year, and this focus for
Sure.
me this year has just been, mental health, but that is directly related to your physical health.
For sure.
And, I think like similar to you, I always joke, I don't know how to go to the gym. So I rely on classes. Even
Mhm.
now, like I work with one of your partners in,
Right,
in,
right.
in personal training, but I feel most comfortable and confident in those classes.
Mhm.
And, it's and working out at home. So I started my
Sure.
physical journey doing Beachbody at home, you
Oh,
know.
girl, back in high school, I was
Yeah,
doing that with my mom, same.
yeah,
P90X,
yeah.
like
Yes. So it was like, that's really what jump started it. But then the other aspect of being at the gym is meeting people. And I think that
community.
yeah, and that also helps. I've met some wonderful people at our
Mhm.
fitness center, and
Right.
it's definitely changed my life. And I'm doing that in combination with being a nurse, and I think one of
Mhm.
the biggest things I hear from nurses is that I don't have time. I don't
Right.
have time for the physical. I'm exhausted. We work 12-hour shifts. On my
Yeah.
days off, I have kids, I have
Life.
errands, I have
Right.
meal prep, I have all these other things. How do
Mhm.
I find the time? And that's what I enjoyed most about our conversation is the tips you have for, like, getting started and,
Sure.
finding that time and really
Exactly.
focusing on you don't have to get to the gym and lift these weights and do this and this and this. If you focus
Right.
on what's really important, it will physically make you last longer on your feet at the
Yeah.
bedside.
Just gonna build your stamina,
Yeah,
endurance, and make your shifts, like, that much more enjoyable, which hopefully is the goal for, like, a lot of, because I have a lot of nursing friends
yes.
too. So I mean, like, I feel like I watched them, like, get beat up through nursing school, like, not physically, obviously, some of them a little bit, but,
Yeah.
like, you go through a lot through, like, nursing school and graduating, finding your job, like, travel, like, there's so much that goes into nursing, like, just the heroes of the world. I mean, it's
Oh,
crazy, like, how much y'all do, and then, like, you're in the service industry, so then,
yeah.
like, just giving that back to yourself because you can't pour from an empty cup is gonna be so important.
Right. Exactly. And it takes a lot to fill that cup. And I think that this, unfortunately, from what I hear from nurses, this is the last drop to fill that cup.
Yeah,
And it actually is a huge, huge component and should be more of something that we focus on and find the time for. So
definitely.
I'm so excited to kind of dive into this
Yep.
and, share your expertise with everyone of, just how to get moving for the day, right?
Yeah, and that's something, like, and even with myself, like, if in a perfect world, like, I would spend 2 hours at the gym. Now, for me, like, even, like, working with other clients, that's just not realistic all the time. Like, you have maybe an hour in between, you gotta fit it in
Yeah.
and just kinda do what you can do. So there's this a lot of what we do is, like, such a mindset shift of, like, it to get you there physically, you have to get there mentally first. Like, you're
Mm,
not just gonna, like, waltz into the gym one day without any mindset, any thought process to it. Like, for most people, it's gonna be, like, debilitating to be like, "Okay, I'm here, and now
yeah.
what do I do?" So the
Yeah.
community part with the, like, group classes, that's why I started my sister and I used to do them together. Like, there was, like, the Les Mills group
Yeah.
classes. There was
Yeah.
one called, like, Body Pump that we were just
Yes.
getting it to for a while, and I was like, "Okay, like, this is fun. Like, we're vibing now."
Yeah.
So, like, the community aspect is huge. People just want that accountability partner or, like, no, like, I have a date with myself, like, whatever that looks like to you, however you have to, like,
Yeah.
lay that out is huge, but a lot of it I feel like is ditching, like, the all or nothing approach of, like, "Okay, well, I have to do this full workout or I have to do the red light therapy and the sauna and the cold plunge and XYZ." It's like, those things aren't really gonna have much of a benefit if, like, you're not doing the basics and your foundations, with it's just, like, mobility work, strength training, core training, all of which you can do from home. I will recommend typically, like, if you've done that for a few months, couple years, like, typically your body is gonna crave a little bit more and just you
Yeah.
as a human are gonna be like, "Okay, like, I kinda got this down, like, what else can I do?"
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just you really have to look at your own schedule too and know what is realistic for you. So everyone's gonna be so different. Like, nobody has the same 24 hours in the day. Because if you're a
Right.
mother, if you're a partner, if you're working, like whatever your day looks like, everyone's day is different. We can all say, like, we all have 24 hours in a day, but that's just like, that's not really fair to say.
Yeah.
So being realistic and looking like I typically, what I really prefer to do and what I do with my clients too is like kind of look at it biweekly, monthly, sometimes on a week by week case because it just depends like what they have going on. Like if they have kids that they're dropping off, whatever that may be, and they can only come in once that week, it's like, okay, if you're only seeing me once that day or once that week, like what else are we going to do to make sure like
Right.
you're still getting that movement in? So it's a lot of week by
Figuring
week,
out.
day by
Yeah.
day. Yeah, like it's not this cookie cutter approach of like, here's your 5-day split. This is what you're going to do for the next 6 months. That's just going to be very daunting for a lot of people. And it's not really that realistic because life happens. You might get sick. You have a sick kid. You have something crazier going on at
Mhm.
your job. You're pulling extra shifts because maybe you're short staffed, like whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of just kind of looking at what does your month look like, break that down by week, and then like have some grace with yourself. Look at it by day.
Yeah, and with nurses, like, that's a our schedule is not, "Okay, I work
Yeah, it's not a
Monday,
9 to
Wednesday,
5.
Friday,"
Right.
and there's sometimes we're working 6 days in a row,
Yeah.
that's exhausting, and you
Right.
need the time to recover, and,
Mhm.
it and some people, we have to acknowledge they're not gonna be comfortable going to a gym quite yet.
Right.
That
100%.
it takes a lot to walk through those doors. I mean,
Mhm.
I joke and other people joke, "You have to be fit to go to the gym,"
Yeah.
because no one wants to walk in there
Right, right.
surrounded by these people that know what they're doing and you're
Yeah.
just starting out. So, just gaining some confidence at home and, like,
Mhm.
I don't wanna give away, like, your, like, biggest tip, but, like, what you said during our conversation, just, like, those simple things
Yeah.
can help you so much. So,
So much.
let's kinda
Dive into it.
get into that.
Yeah.
So, when someone comes to you, even not at the gym, let's talk about more, like, let's say a travel nurse and we don't belong to a gym or a fitness
Sure.
center and we're just looking at, like, where do I start? Like, my body's hurting, I'm on my feet all day. What is, like, the first thing that you would tell someone?
So exactly kind of that is like do a body scan. Like where are you feeling pain? Where are you feeling like a lot of what this is like body awareness, like something that I realize so much about people and like I kind of use my family a lot as an example because I'm always on specific family members of mine
Yeah.
to just do a little bit of something. Like I gave you the workout plan. I literally wrote it down for you. Did
Yeah.
that just slip into the trash can? So it's like a body awareness, like, is it your feet that are hurting? Is it your
Mhm.
back? Is it your neck? Is it your shoulders? Chances are it's a good combination of all of that. So having good body awareness and not just ignoring the things that are like maybe causing you pain, like lean into that a little bit.
Yeah.
If you go to sit on your couch, and I can poke fun at my boyfriend for this sometimes because he's a moaner and groaner as he sits up and down. I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, how you doing over there?" So if like you're where you just check in with your body. So something as simple as that, is your back hurting or your feet hurting? Like, do a proper squat. Like, sit down on the couch, like, actually sit, engage your core, pull your belly button in, like, do some deep breathe. Like, I also am a Pilates instructor. So, all my classes there, we just start with like 3 minutes of breathing. And like, that's it. Like, tune in with your body. Let's
Yeah.
check and see how's your mental state? How's your physical state? Like, how are things? So, my biggest tips to, especially for people who are time constrained, is 5 minutes in the morning and or 5 minutes at night. So whatever you feel like you can handle. Every single person that has ever looked me in the eyes and be like, I'm not going to do that before I go to bed. I'm like, great, then do it first thing when you wake up. I don't have enough time in the morning. I'm like, how many times I'm so guilty of this, but how many
Yeah.
times do you press snooze? We all do it. It's just the way our society works. But
Yeah.
something as simple as, can you just squat down without, like, your knees caving in, without, like, your feet completely flaring out? Can you comfortably get back up? How low can you squat? Like, can you get, parallel to the ground with your butt? Can you touch your toes? Can
That's
you
a big one. Can you touch your toes? Like, so many people can't touch their toes.
It's quite shocking how many people can. And this is not like an age discrimination thing
Mhm.
whatsoever either, because I have clients that are teenagers that I'm like, "Okay, like, just, like, touch your toes." And, like, we are both equally shocked on, like, how difficult that is for them.
Yeah.
So then, like, on them, because they're younger, like, those type of people, I'm like, "You have nothing but time, so let's just practice this." So even and if that feels like a lot, you can sit on the floor and just sit up completely straight in, like, an L sit. So can you actually sit up all the way straight with your legs extended? So it's very they are simple things. They
Mhm.
sound simple because they are, but simple doesn't always mean easy. You know, it's simple by nature and like we can just sit down on the ground, we can sit and stand, but if your body's in pain or if you haven't paid attention
Yeah.
to these different areas, it's not going to feel great and it is going to feel difficult. So simple doesn't mean easy. So we have to take that with a grain of salt too. But it's squatting when you're touching your toes, you're hinging, so just kind of like hinging at your hips and creating that hip crease, touching your toes, standing in like a split squat. So can you balance? You know, can
Yeah.
you stand on one foot? How is your core strength? If you do have limited mobility in a squat, like that leads into a mobility thing where it could be
Right.
ankle, it could be knee, it could be hip. More than likely, it's a combination of all three.
Yeah, and that's something that as nurses, I mean, I'm a NICU nurse, so I don't lift heavy patients, but
Sure.
majority of the population of nurses are having to lift
Lift humans.
patients
Yeah.
and lift them safely for the patient, lift them safely for
Mhm.
themselves,
Right.
and I think back for when I was young, I was, like, 21, brand new nurse
Right.
working with
Take on the
adults.
world. Right.
Yeah, ready to just start my career,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I would sacrifice myself getting hurt
100%.
so the patient doesn't fall, because in the hospital, if a patient falls, it's your fault. It's your
Right.
fault. It's your fault. So, like, you don't wanna get in trouble. So you
Mhm.
sacrifice your own body mechanics to make sure that you don't hurt a patient. And
Right.
which, like, in a way, yes, I still would probably do that. Like, I think about that all the time. Like, if a parent
Sure.
drops a baby, I would dive on the floor and hurt myself
Yeah.
to, like, save the baby. But,
Right.
if you have these key fundamental body
Mhm.
movements in those, like, instances to, like, "Oh,
Right.
I'm gonna catch this patient who's falling."
Yeah.
If you can position yourself in a way
Mhm.
that it's not going to put all the weight on your back and you're using your legs,
Right.
and we talk about that in every hospital I go to, we talk about body mechanics and lifting and pulling and what are the ways you should do things,
Mhm.
and we kinda check it off like, "Okay, yeah," like,
Yeah,
whatever.
obviously. Right.
Like, it does make a difference. It makes a difference in everyday
Mhm.
life when you bend over at the grocery store to get something on the bottom shelf. Are you doing it correctly? Are you putting that
Right.
pressure on your back? So, I think that this really is a good way to start, but a good way also to, like, check in with your body and see
Right.
if you are doing these things correctly.
100%. Because, like I said, I mean, it's so much body awareness, and if
Mhm.
you are sacrificing your own body, which, like, it's human nature, like, if you see, yes, a baby, like, you're gonna
Yeah,
do what you can to sacrifice yourself to save somebody, like,
yeah,
that's just, like, a human, maybe more, like, womanly, kind of, like, maternal instinct. But, like, we're gonna do what we can to, protect and save others, especially in a field like yours. Like,
yeah,
you're literally there to help other people. But that's exactly one of the notes I had down is, like, if you are sacrificing your body physically, like, you're ultimately putting yourself and them at risk, which,
yeah,
like, is, of course, not the point. Like, I know everyone in your field is always thinking, "How do I make this person healthier? How do I help them heal? How do
right.
I" it's all on them. But if you're not kind of taking what you preach, and practice it
Yeah,
and when you go home, it is so fundamental and it's very like basic movement patterns is a lot of what we talk about like with my clients. First time I meet somebody, there's four main things that we're going over and it's movement patterns, which are your squat, your hinge, your push, and your pull. Those in a way can all be kind of put together, but, like, pushing and pulling, like, you can pull vertically and horizontally, and
mhm,
pushing, you can push horizontally and vertically. So think like a push-up or like a row type of situation, a lat pull down versus like a shoulder press. So there's a lot of different movement patterns
mhm,
using unilateral movement. So one limb at a time working because the stronger one
yeah,
arm or leg is individually, the stronger everything is together. How do you brace your core properly when
yeah,
you are going to squat or hinge? Or I always joke with my clients, like, I sound like a little just like broken record in the air. I'm like, is your core engaged? Is your belly button scooped in? Are we protecting our back? Like, whatever it is you're
yeah,
doing, I'm like, you can, in theory, make anything a core exercise if you know how to properly brace your core and engage, not just brace, but engage your core properly. Because bracing can kind of be one thing where it's more of a push out, whereas engaging is really like
Like,
pulling those
suck yeah,
muscles in towards
yeah,
your spine.
yeah.
So are you just someone that braces and aren't actually engaging versus like really staying secure in your core, which is going to help all of your movement patterns. And on top of that, like anything you do in a programmed fashion within like exercise or classes, like whatever it may be that you're doing, that structured program just makes your body that much more resilient in your day-to-day life, which is like a line that I say constantly to anyone who will listen. I'm like, the more that we do these things inside the gym because we're working in different planes of motion, like we're not just moving forwards and backwards or side to side, like we're pivoting, we're moving around. For my clients who want jumping type of things, like, maybe add those in, but balance,
Yeah.
whatever it may be, like all of that work translates directly into a resilient body outside of the gym.
And
So it's
it
like,
does, like, I can
yeah.
attest to that, like, even, like, when you're talking, I'm like, I don't lift heavy at work, but when I have to, like, lift a box or do
Mhm.
something, I'm always like, "Okay, go down, lift with my leg."
Right.
And then, like,
Right.
even when I'm walking down the to go to the grocery store, 'cause
Mhm.
I live right by the grocery store, so I
Love.
walk,
Yeah.
and, like, I like my seltzer water, so I carry a 12 pack of seltzer
Right.
water,
You're like, "All right,
home in
locked and
my one
loaded."
shoulder bag, so I'm like, "This is a farmer's carry,"
Yeah,
and you try
exactly.
to, like, keep your course. So you do take
Mhm.
these basic things, these very basic
Mhm.
movements that you don't need to be in a gym to learn and do,
Right.
but it really helps, and just engaging your core
Yeah.
increases that muscle,
I
like,
mean,
that
it's
stability.
right, and whenever, like, people feel off balance, like, if we're doing, like, a walking lunge, for example, that most people will feel very wobbly and off balance in,
Mhm.
and I can tell the second that they stop engaged in their core because that wobble is, like, immediate,
Yeah.
and, like, also, like, we're in the gym, most of us are wearing, like, pretty form-fitting clothes, so I can literally see them disengage. I'm like, "Did you?" They're like, "Yeah, I know. I felt it. I saw
Yeah.
it." So it's core engagement and mobility and, like and I know we've talked a little bit about this, but strength, mobility, and core, like, are kind of my 3 pillars that I work on.
Yeah.
So, strength training is always gonna be, like, probably the foundation, but you can implement all 3 kind of under the strength umbrella if you just kinda broaden your mind a little bit because mobility is really taking your joints through, like, the full range of motion, and then how do you also progressively overload that over time, because if you're somebody that can lift, hundreds of pounds in the gym, but you don't have the ability to, like, take your arms and interlock them behind your back or something because you're so
Yeah.
muscly and tight, do we really have a benefit of functionality there?
Right.
So that's where, like, even in the gym, just,
That's so true.
yeah, I'm like, if you can deadlift 1,000,000 pounds, but you can't touch your toes, like, you're just
Yeah.
reaching for the bar, but you can't fully touch your toes, and then also hold that for a minute. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of things you have to think about within, like, mobility is it's more dynamic stretching if you wanna think about it that way. Like,
Yeah.
stretching is really passive where you're just kind of holding that stretch and waiting for that muscle to release, but most people hold their breath and just, like, go out of it within, like, 5 to 10 seconds because it's uncomfortable.
'Cause it hurts.
It hurts, yeah, and you're like, "I can't make through this." But if you really focus on your breathing, which is something I typically with my clients will do, like, for example, say a Bulgarian split squat, a little more advanced, but then superset that with, like, a couch stretch, which is basically just the bottom portion of that, where you then just, like, keep that bottom leg down, stretch out the front side of, like, that quad and hip
Yeah.
flexor, and then you hold that for a minute, and they're like, "When is this minute gonna be up? I'm not okay." I'm like, "Just keep
Yeah.
breathing." And so it's implementing all of these things in a time efficient manner because I have
Mhm.
50 minutes with my clients, which is probably more than most nurses and most people in general really have. We work at or I work rather at a pretty privileged community, I would say.
I was like, "How are you gonna word
I know.
that?"
I was like, I'm looking for the word, but it's just, and then that's San Diego as a whole. We're all pretty
Yeah.
privileged to live here
Yeah.
as a community, but that's
That's
where
so funny.
most people don't have that type of time,
Yeah.
and, like, that's where I know I'm very lucky to work in the community that I do with the
Yeah.
people that I do because they do have that time, but then there's people like you where you're like, "I'm in, I'm out, I gotta go, I have a
Yeah.
million other things to do," and, time is money, we all
Yeah,
know
and
that.
Paulo's like, "Why haven't you texted me?" I'm like, "I'm busy."
You're
Like,
like, "I haven't slept in 4 days,
I
that's
know.
why."
I'm
And
like, "I
then
don't have time for this." Yeah.
right, and
Yeah.
I even think back to, like, COVID when everyone there was kinda 2 sides of that coin of, like, people kind of fell down the rabbit hole of, like, maybe the unhealthier lifestyle, and other
Yeah.
people were like, "Well, I have nothing else to do, so maybe I'll get my shit together right
Yeah.
now," and they
Yeah.
fell in love with fitness, and there was, like, that side of it that was a beautiful outcome of COVID. One of my girlfriends who is a nurse and she's a travel nurse, like, I remember when she was traveling, like, when COVID restrictions were a little bit lifted, me and one of my girlfriends would go visit her wherever she was at because we were just like, "All right, well, it's a new place, let's
Whatever.
go
Yeah.
visit and see."
Yeah.
And she would be doing these, like, morning workouts, like, on her iPad or TV or whatever, and she would do, like, a 30-minute just, like, video class, and, like, she was never somebody that really worked out before, but I just remember and I wasn't even a personal trainer at the time, but I went to the actual gym in her apartment complex with her now husband. She was like, "Yeah, you guys know I'm not a gym person, so, like, I'll be here doing my video," and either way, I was like, "I'm so
You're doing
proud
it.
of you, you're doing it, like,
Yeah.
that's all that matters."
Yeah.
So, whatever like, the time constraint is such a big piece of it, so, like, the beach body videos, sometimes they get, like, there's mixed reviews on it, I think, at this
Yeah.
point,
Yeah. I
but,
agree.
like, it it's something that you can do from home.
Yeah.
There's, like and I think social media can get a really bad rep, and I hear that, I see that, but that also takes some accountability. You can change your algorithm, You can follow better people, you can follow, like, positive people, like, you can really lean into, like, what the algorithm does for you,
Yes.
and that's a big piece of what I did during COVID because I was not a trainer at the time, and I had, like, a couple of random weights, and I was like I mean, at that point, I was well into, like, the fitness journey. I was like, "I need something to do," because I will say, like, as addiction goes, like, this is the best thing to be addicted to in life, like, and your body will literally crave it. If you are
Yeah.
somebody like, once you have done
You
it
do.
for
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
body craves more and it craves, like, diversity, like, I have done strength training for like I said, almost 10 years, and I just started doing Pilates in the last, like, year and a half, and that's why I got certified in it because I was like, this was the missing piece because it's core and mobility and resistance training all in one, just in a different way that people ask me, "One or the other, what would you choose?" I'm like, "Not a fair question," because
You
they
need
both
both.
have their purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like people, like, avoiding cardio, sometimes me. It serves its purpose, we have to do it, you
Yeah.
know? So, using, like, even COVID as an example, like, we can lean into those things, like, that we once had where all we had was couple weights, like a freaking milk jug, whatever you got at home, like, people were doing crazy
Yeah.
things during
Oh, I
COVID of,
remember
like,
that. Yeah.
literally curling, like, milk jugs. It's like, I don't
Yes.
have weights. Weights sold
There's
out
no
on
excuses
Amazon.
anymore.
Exactly. It's like, we know what we can do, so we just have
Yeah.
to remember, like,
Yeah.
not that we wanna go back to COVID by any means, but
Yes. We
there
don't.
is no, not by any means, but that mindset of, like,
Yeah.
this is what I have at home and what I have accessible, like, I can
I
do it
can
at
use it.
home.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can do it. Well, going back to the mobility thing, I think that during our first conversation, that was, like, something that really stood out to me, and even
Mhm.
when you were talking, like, your story with your dad with the passion, but it kind
Yeah.
of, like, went back to when I was little, like, my mom was, like, running my bath for the night, right? I
Mhm.
remember she would always when she was, like, done, it was so weird, like, I remember this, and I was so
Right.
little, she would bend down, like, bend in half, touch her
Mhm.
toes, stay there, and that was, like, the end of, like, the bath was done running, like, she was like, "Make sure the
That's
temperature is
so
hot,"
cute. Yeah.
and I'm like, "Why would you do that?" And she's like, "It's
Right.
just where I get the time to, like, stretch." And that, like,
It sticks with you.
I literally have not remembered that until
Right.
you, like we were talking
Wow.
about those little
That's
things
so
and
cool.
having that little bit of time, but my mom had the flexibility,
Mhm.
and she could touch her toes and or t yeah, touch her toes with her
Right.
hands flat
Flat, yeah.
on the fl like, in well, because
Mhm.
the floor is level with the tub or, like,
Right, right, right.
within reason,
Hey,
and
she could get
and
down there.
she floated yeah,
Yeah.
and that's something that I think just I wanted to point that out because that's how little and that was the time.
Mhm.
I was 4 or 5,
Right.
like, I was young, because then it was, like, showers were easier, no
Right,
you
right.
don't wanna have
Yeah.
bath time,
Yeah.
and then the to say you don't have the time, with your kids, you do have the time, and then we all shower, we
Ri
all bathe.
Girl, I the amount of calf raises I do in the shower is, like, low
Yeah,
key embarrassing because 'cause I'm like, I
yeah,
don't do enough calves at the gym, so I just stand in my shower, I'm washing
and
my
do the
hair, and I do calf raises. I'm like, I mean, I'm gonna get it in somewhere.
Thank you for tuning in to Nursing Uncharted. You can learn more about this episode and our show on our website at amnhealthcare.com. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast platform. You can also find show updates and nursing opportunities on our Instagram at AMN Nurse. Special thanks to AMN Healthcare for making this show possible.